news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Overseas Filipino workers bound for Saudi Arabia are now relieved after the government lifted the temporary deployment ban to the Middle Eastern country. JC Cosico has the report.
Kinakausap na ng airline para matuloy na. So, hintay na lang kayo.
This is the reaction of some OFWs after they were told that the temporary deployment ban to Saudi Arabia has been lifted. 35-year-old Warda Maulana got emotional and immediately called her relatives in Maguindanao. The domestic helper in Jeddah is scheduled to fly to the Western Asian country today.
All I can say is alhamdulillah at matutuloy na po yung flight ko ngayon, araw, inshallah, inshallah. Pinakinggan ni Allah po yun, panalangin ko. Maiiyak ka na lang na malaman mo yung matutuloy na ang flight mo. Sayang-saya, in the first place is hirap tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Unang-una magtatrabaho tayo para sa pamilya natin. Pangalawa, yan, yung saya mo, hindi mo ma-explain yung saya mo.
43-year-old Joseph Tibus was also relieved as he went to NAIA Terminal 1 this morning, hoping that he will get the flight to Riyadh. He works as a product and support specialist in a banking company there.
Tuwang-tuwa po kami mga OFW, very happy po na makakabalik na kami ng Saudi.
Nakutan ka ba ng tinig, sir?
Sobra po, sobra. Kasi siyempre yung work, yung kabuhayan, yung work kakabuhayan nandun talaga. Kailangan.
The national government issued a temporary deployment ban to Saudi Arabia on Friday. This after the Labor Department learned that some foreign employers refused to shoulder the cost of their workers' institutional quarantine. Labor Chief Silvestre Bello III said he finally received a letter from the Saudi government assuring them that employers and sponsors will pay for the quarantine of OFWs.
Probably they found na yung ating request is well-based and justified. Kasi unang-una sila naman nag-require na i-quarantine yung ating mga OFWs. And alam naman nila that our OFWs are there to earn a living. Hindi pa nga sila nagkatrabaho. Baka pabayarin mo na sila, di ba?
Bello urged OFWs to report to authorities should their employers fail to fulfill their promise. There will be 2 flights bound to KSA today at 4 in the afternoon via Philippine Airlines. The Labor Department told OFWs who missed their flights yesterday to not worry. They ensured that they will assist them in rebooking, reswabbing, and visa processing.
Ayaw namin na pagdating nila doon ay mapapagsamantala sila ng mga employers. So we have to be very sure that there is a strict order from the Saudi government na dapat magbayad sa quarantine expense ay ang employer. So yun po ang aming ginawa.
For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Meanwhile, 100 of OFWs are stranded in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia after being terminated during the pandemic. They are now seeking the government's help in repatriation. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza gives us a front seat to the story.
For almost 2 months now, these container vans serve as temporary homes for over 100 overseas Filipino workers stranded in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Apart from the limited space, power outs are also common in the area. For the OFWs, they are left without a choice after losing their jobs. Most of them now rely on relief assistance from other Filipinos in Jeddah.
Siguro kung may mawala sa amin, matutulungan kami ng gobyerno na mapauwi. Ganun po ba? Ganun po ma'am kasi ang tagal na po namin nanghihingi ng tulong.
Another group of OFWs are also appealing to the Philippine government to be repatriated. They said they were terminated from work and have been staying at a housing facility for about 6 months now. The group says they tried seeking help from various sources but to no avail.
Same problem, it's pardikama, walang sahod, pull out, walang trabaho. Nagkakasya po namin. Kung mga dilato po, siyempre tinitipid namin, noodles, gulay, para lang po makaraos.
The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA has yet to issue a comment on the status of OFWs in Jeddah. This comes amid the proposal to create a Department of Overseas Filipinos to tackle and promote workers' rights and welfare abroad. The proposal seeks to turn the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration into a department with OWA as an attached agency. Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
A number of rich people from Indonesia, China, and Malaysia are coming to Singapore, which they consider as the world's safest haven. Why? Bloomberg's David Ramley answers that in this video.
Well, there are a number of reasons. The first of which is the geopolitical problems currently facing Hong Kongers and mainland Chinese people in Hong Kong. That's encouraged a lot of them to find new avenues for parking their capital, and Singapore happens to be quite a favorable destination. You know, people speak Mandarin, rule of law is quite strong, and there are no protests in the street, for better or for worse. On the other hand, we also have COVID-19 ravaging the entire globe, Southeast Asia in particular. So then what we see is a lot of Indonesian Chinese and Indonesians and Malaysians coming to Singapore as their port of safe haven. Singapore has, of course, managed to keep the virus down to a minimum. There are fewer than 40 deaths in comparison to neighbours where there are often thousands of deaths. Well, we've seen a mushrooming of family offices here in Singapore. The MAS estimates that about 400 were operating here, just single-family offices at the end of 2020. That's a doubling from the year before, once again, according to their own data. What we're seeing is that banks such as UBS, Citigroup, and others are all flooding this country and this city with relationship managers and investment managers who cater exclusively for the super rich. UBS gave a great example recently to the Business Times, where they said that 5 years ago, about 75% of new capital booked in the Asia-Pacific region went to Hong Kong, whilst 25% came to Singapore. Now that number is 50-50, so that's quite a rapid catch-up.
Meanwhile, the Philippines has filed a new diplomatic protest against China and demanded Beijing to withdraw its vessels from the vicinity of the Pag-asa Island. The Foreign Affairs Department reported that Chinese fishing vessels are in the vicinity of the Pag-asa Island to continue their illegal activities. The department reiterated that the Pag-asa group of islands is part of the country's exclusive economic zone. Now, as of May 4, the DFA has filed 83 protests against China under the Duterte administration. Let's now take a look at stories from around the world. The United States is preparing its list of sanctions against key members of the Belarusian government. This is after the former Soviet nation forced a Ryanair flight to land and then detained an opposition journalist who was on board. The White House called on Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko to allow an international investigation regarding the incident. Republican senators in the U.S. have blocked a bipartisan inquiry into the January 6 Capitol riot by Trump supporters. The measure only garnered 54 votes, short of the 60 votes needed to advance the legislation in the Senate. 35 Republicans voted against the measure. And 9 Southeast Asian nations is asking the UN to drop its current draft resolution placing arms embargo on Myanmar. They said the resolution will affect other countries and further negotiations are still needed. The draft resolution seeks to suspend the direct and indirect supply, sale, or transfer of weapons to the conflicted country. And for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. You may also visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.